U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sat down for talks with the Ukrainian delegation and Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan in Istanbul on Friday, reported Reuters. Prior to arriving in Istanbul, the top U.S. diplomat said he did not have high expectations for the talks since Trump wasn't at the table, noted Reuters. The Ukrainian president made the trip to Turkey before Putin decided not to attend after suggesting the meeting himself. Explosions and fires broke out overnight in occupied Crimea following a reported drone strike on Russian military infrastructure near the village of Perevalne. This was posted on Telegram by the resistance group Crimean Wind on May 16. The Ukrainian partisan movement Atesh stated that explosions occurred at both the 126th Brigade base and the nearby 8th Separate Artillery Regiment. The base is rumored to stockpile armored vehicles, ammunition and fuel. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported that 65 Ukrainian drones were intercepted overnight. However, the Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation reported that as of late Friday morning, the Russian military storage units were still on fire. Russian forces scrambled a Su-35 fighter jet to provide cover for the tanker Jaguar entering Estonian airspace in the Gulf of Finland, Estonian officials reported on May 14. The tanker forms part of Russia's Shadow Fleet and sails under the flag of Gabon. It was carrying sanctioned Russian oil and wet cargo and went on the UK sanctions list just last week, reported Reuters. The Estonian Navy attempted to intercept the vessel, deploying a helicopter, an M28 Skytruck aircraft and a patrol boat. Estonian officials demanded for the crew to change course, however, without compliance. Jaguar eventually anchored near the Russian island of Gogland in the eastern Baltic Sea, short of its destination port of Primorsk. The Estonian Prime Minister Kristen Michal said Tallinn is being kept up to date with various possible threats in response to escorting a Russian-bound oil tanker away from its course.
The government is kept operationally informed about various possible threats. The exact notification time and method I certainly will not share with the public, but the government is kept informed about various things. If something happens, what is happening in Estonian waters, airspace, on land, what is critical, they're definitely kept informed. So they dealt with that, the defense forces and the Navy, who in the end escorted the tanker away.
A Ukrainian F-16 fighter jet crashed in the early hours of May 16 while repelling a Russian air assault, reported the Ukrainian Air Force Command. The pilot successfully destroyed 3 Russian aerial targets and was attacking a 4th when an onboard malfunction occurred. He managed to steer the jet away from populated areas before ejecting and is reported to be in a stable condition, added the Air Force Command. An official investigation has been launched to determine the exact cause of the incident. Ukraine repatriated 909 bodies of its fallen soldiers, reported the coordination headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war. According to the HQ, the fallen defenders came from hotspots across the front lines, including the Kurakhove, Pokrovsk, Bakhmut, Zaporizhia and Sumy directions. Additional gratitude was extended to the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Security Service and governmental agencies that have continued to assist in repatriating the bodies throughout the years of war. The Ukrainian and Russian delegations met in Istanbul on Friday for their first direct talks in more than 3 years, in efforts to bring an end to Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II, reported Reuters. Live TV showed the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan addressing the negotiators of both sides at the lavish palace on the Bosphorus Strait. Fidan emphasized it was critical to achieve a ceasefire as soon as possible. Setting out Kyiv's priorities, Ukraine's head representative said peace was only possible if Russia agreed to a 30-day ceasefire, returned abducted Ukrainian children, and exchanged all the prisoners of war. However, the peace talks lasted well under 2 hours, with no apparent sign of progress in narrowing the gap between the sides.
We've finished our meeting. The agenda that has been given to our host and our partners was to discuss, first, is the ceasefire. Second one is the humanitarian track, is the exchanges. And third is a potential meeting on the leaders' level. As a result, we have agreed to exchange 1,000 persons to 1,000, and we're working on other modalities, and our colleagues are in contact and will exchange all the documents. So,
a Ukrainian source referenced Moscow's demands as non-starters and detached from reality. Meanwhile, visiting Albania for the European Political Community Summit, President Zelensky stated that despite Russia sending their B team and showing they were not serious about the talks, Ukraine remains willing to complete the necessary steps to a just and lasting peace.
I was in Ankara yesterday, and thanks for participation and hosting us, President Erdogan. And I was ready for a direct meeting with Putin, whether in Ankara or in Istanbul, and not just for a meeting, but to resolve all the important issues to my mind. But he didn't agree to anything. I mean, Putin.